Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Combo Breaker 99. I'm back with another video. All right, y'all, back with another one here. I know some of y'all wanted to know my thoughts on this potential matchup between Cris Cyborg and Zingano. I mean, it's not really a matchup. It's not even really a potential matchup right now. It's more of a Twitter war. It's more of a Twitter war that's going on between these two right now because Zingano, she had some words for Cris Cyborg after Cris Cyborg's recent interview. Cris Cyborg, she did an interview a few days ago, and she basically said that Zingano would turn down a fight between the two of them, because Zingano wanted to go a different direction. Like, the March 11th date was open. Everybody was assuming that was the date. Even myself, everybody was thinking that was going to be her opponent because Zingano said she wanted to fight that day. Cris acknowledged. He said, hey, I'm open for that date. Y'all know Cris Cyborg likes to stay active. She's an active champion. But according to Cris Cyborg, she said that Zingano would turn down the fight because they're basically going a different direction. They already have another opponent lined up. And that was her answer. She said that Zingano declined the fight. But Zingano, she responded on Twitter with a pretty big allegation. She said that Cris Cyborg refused the drug test. So I'm like, uh-oh. Now she threw those words in there, that kind of shake things up. I know that's going to get a lot of people listening here. But, kind of looking through the responses here, I'm kind of making my own judgment here, my own assumption here. And it just kind of sounds like Zingano might not be ready for the fight, which I'll kind of get into here in a minute. Let's read through this interview here because Cris Cyborg pretty much said it, straightforward here. She said, just pretty much cut and dry. I've asked Bellator about this date. I'm open to fight this date. She's referring to March 11th. She said, I don't choose my opponents. For me, everyone is saying that Zingano is going to be my next opponent. So when she announced she was going to fight the 11th, she's like, okay, it must be us. But I hear she wants to do one more fight before our fight. I've accepted a fight with her, but it got declined, so we're waiting to see what's next for me. Okay, so she doesn't have an opponent right now because Kat declined the fight because Kat wants to fight someone else, right? But then in one breath, Kat says on Twitter that Cris Cyborg declines a drug test. She refuses to take a drug test. So I'm kind of like, okay, which is it then? I mean, if Zingano wants to take another fight until then, I mean, before this fight, she wants to get one more fight in. That makes sense. I mean, there's no need to make up something, right? So why would she say something like this, right? Because in one breath, when she says that, she also tweets that she set up another opponent for a #1 contender fight. So let's see here. She said, hearing Cris Cyborg is refusing to drug tests. Cris Cyborg responds. She says, disappointed you would say this. My team can agree to any terms. When's the date? Okay, so she basically says she's open to anything. We can fight anytime you want. It's on your terms, right? And Kat didn't respond to that. Of course, Angela Magana did. If y'all look through the tweets, she's talking about Cris Cyborg juice to the gills. I'm like, oh boy, here she go. Guess she didn't get enough before. Anyways, so Kat Zingano, her next tweet was, I've been told my opponent, and it's a #1 contender match set for March 11th. That'll give someone plenty of time to get their ish together, enough to fight me by summer. Okay, so she going in a little bit deeper. Now I'm really asking questions here because, all right, so if she's referring to if she's referring to Cris Cyborg, what is she referring to when she says get her ish together? Because we're talking about an active champion, someone who fights, very actively, already fought 4 to 5 times, the 2 years they've been signed to Bellator, more than Kat, and somebody that stays on their game, is always improving as a fighter as far as their technique and their skills, right? So in that aspect, Cris Cyborg really wouldn't need to get her ish together by the summer. So what could she be referring to when she says this would give her time to get her ish together by the summer? Is she referring to her cycling out something? I'm like, it sounds a little suspect. I agree, but it just sounds like too much at this moment. Like she's really trying to shake things up. Like I said, I'm from the outside looking in. This is just my opinion. But I know some people were thinking the same thing because, you said, okay, Zingano probably just didn't want to fight in March, but maybe Kat did, and then Cris refused the test. So she said, no, I'll take on a #1 contender till then. So that'll give Cris time enough to get whatever it is out by the summertime, right? That's some people's perspective. I mean, hey, it's up there. It's out there. People are actually tweeting that. So I was reading through and, thinking that through myself. But I was like, okay, because when you said fighter like Cris Cyborg get her ish together, like, no, she's prepared. She's prepared now. Like she said, she was ready to go. So I don't know, man. I mean, my thoughts, I wonder where Kat heard this information about Cris wanting to dodge a drug test. I mean, Cris Cyborg right now, she's tested like crazy. I think she's tested up there with just as much as Holly Holm. I mean, of course, Cris has been popped like over a decade ago. And of course, I put that dark cloud over fighters' heads. I always remember that. I do. I still remember that. But not everybody's perfect. But it's been over a decade and she's been clean. So I can't really see that as being a reason now. For me, in my opinion, it's more so believable that Cat would turn down the fight to take on another opponent for March 11th to prepare her for this fight. One more fight, and then Cris Cyborg. Because when you think about it, like I brought this up before this whole Twitter war was going on between these two. Whenever this fight was first talked about unofficially, everybody was thinking this was the next fight. Even Scott Coker, Scott Coker said Cris wants this fight March 11th. This is what I already said. I said Cat hasn't fought in almost a year. April of 2021 was last time she fought. And since she signed to Bellator, she's only fought twice in 2 years. And she still hasn't fought a ranked featherweight yet. She still hasn't fought a ranked fighter. She fought Liv Parker and what's her name? Gabrielle Walker. Liv Parker and Gabrielle Walker. Close, right? I'm kind of mixing up the other name at the moment. But yeah, she hasn't fought any ranked fighters yet. So Cat wanting to take on a title eliminator now would make more sense for her. I don't know why the drug topic came up. I mean, if she was lined up to, fight Cris, and Cris did, it got out there some information, to us. I would find that a little bit more believable. But I mean, who did she hear that from? That's just kind of what I'm wondering. Because Cris Cyborg is saying that hey, the date was open, she was willing to take it, and she's saying that Cat actually declined it. But why did Cat decline it? Was it because of this? I mean, it just sounds confusing to me right now. It just sounds like to me that Cat had someone already lined up, to get her ready for this Cris Cyborg fight, which in my opinion, that's what she would need to do. I mean, Cris thought it was her and it wasn't. Now this whole drug debacle got thrown into the mix. So it's like, who knows? Maybe Cat is just saying it to keep up appearance. I don't know. Cat might just be saying it to keep up appearance. I mean, in my opinion, I think Cat does need another fight anyway before she does this one. And if Cris, I mean, nobody's really going to prepare you for that championship fight, I know, but she still needs to get in one more active fight, just to make it more of a build up. You know what I mean? You just can't jump in there March 11th, nobody really knowing about this fight, right? You need to get in at least one more fight, right? So to me, she needs another fight. And if Cyborg will agree to all terms, which she said she would in that tweet, I don't think this would have happened in the first place. I just think Cat needs this other fight anyway, just to get active against a better level opponent and get that bank before the big one. Because that's what Cat needed to do. Whenever I said she went over here to the featherweight division, I said, okay, get in some fights, before that big one, bank as much as you can, because that big one, when that one comes, Cris Cyborg, that's going to be a killer. So that would be a smart move for her. That should be a smart move. And speaking of smart, this is good trash talk. This is good trash talk and drama, good build up to their summer fight if it does happen. So what they should do is they should both fight on the same card March 11th. Cat on the co-main event against somebody like Blanco and Cris against another contender. That's how it should probably go down from here, because Cat's trying to talk this fight up, put some drama behind it, put some, backstory on it, make people look up Cris Cyborg and try to make her the heel. So there's a lot of things brewing here that I think Cat's going to take advantage of, to try to build this fight up. And that's kind of what Bellator needs right now. I know, I'm definitely against drug cheats and fighters popping and things like that. But as long as nobody really is juiced in this fight, going into this fight, I'm fine with that. But, we're just kind of going back off a backstory to try to make this thing, more drama-filled and more entertaining. So I think that might be Cat's angle here. She's just saying, oh, she refused the drug test. We pushing this thing back, and now it's going to get people talking, So, I mean, it is kind of bad on Cyborg's part now, because, now people are going to be bugging Cris Cyborg and trying to cyber bully her. You see Angela Magana, she's coming out from up under a rock. Now she's talking her trash again. You know what I mean? So it has its goods and bad, it has its, goods and, bads to it. So we'll see, man. I mean, overall, though, like me, I'm not really too excited about the fight. I mean, it's a dangerous matchup. I mean, this other stuff that's going on is kind of entertaining. Y'all asked my thoughts about it. But as far as the matchup, man, this is a dangerous matchup. I know some people said they give Cris a I mean, they give Cat Zingano a 20-30% chance to win this fight, but that's still kind of high just to me. When you're talking about a active, strong, powerful, well-rounded fighter in Cris Cyborg that just tends to get more and more dangerous. And, a fighter like Cat Zingano, who hasn't really fought a high-level opponent in like 3 or 4 years. It's been, 3 years since her Megan Anderson fight, which didn't turn into much. It ended quick, freak accident. Then she came back, a couple years later and fought Liv Parker and Gabrielle Walker. And now it's been almost another year since she's been in the octagon. Like, coming back March 11th against Cris, that would have been scary. But, now that she's going to get an active opponent, another fight, to stay active, that at least might prolong it and help her get sharp, for however much that's going to hit that count for. I mean, it's still, 4 or 5 months away, in the summertime. So I don't know. It's still a dangerous fight. Cat is went on record to talk about the brain damage, the CTE from the Amanda Nunes fight, which is something I want to talk about in another video I might discuss right now. I think Cat Zingano kind of holds that over Amanda Nunes' head. I mean, it's a fight game, though. It seems like she always comes back to talking about wanting to fight Amanda Nunes again, which is kind of crazy. Like, there's still bad blood between her and Nunes for some reason. Like, she beat Amanda Nunes, but it's almost like she can't forgive her for what she did to her as far as the, brain damage that she talked about before, in an interview. Because even in another interview, Cat Zingano went on record to say that she would fight Amanda Nunes again. She would like that rematch to beat her again. I'm like, why? It seemed like you would say something more about like Ronda Rousey, because Ronda Rousey took you out in less than a round after making such a crazy mistake. Seemed like that would be the one mistake you'd want to correct, even though Ronda doesn't fight anymore, right? So I just kind of find that strange about Cat. So who knows what's going on right now? I mean, like I said, it's a little frustrating to hear, like, when this stuff comes up and then somebody says, okay, you declined the fight because of this, because of that. I don't know. But in my opinion, I think that maybe Cat did want to decline the fight because she knows deep down that she needs to get ready for this fight, and she hasn't really fought any sharp fights to get her ready for the big one. That's what it all comes down to. That's what I think it is. But let me know what y'all think, guys. Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.